I work on a Ford Taurus now. This is a no crank, no start. Let me just give you a history on this car. This was a previous customer's car that was sold to another customer, and they just didn't want to put no more money into it. Put a motor in it a while ago, had 65,000 miles on it. Put the motor in there a couple years ago, and it was a first timer's car. She kept the car up pretty well thanks to her parents. But when before it was sold, the switch went out and they didn't want to put more money into it. So that'll explain this is why this was a cheaper alternative to get the car working. So this is the ignition switch on this Ford Taurus here, but this car is not starting. The horn work. You cut the switch on. Same thing as cutting the key on. Just so when I say on, I'm cutting this switch on, then I'm basically turning the key into the on position. It's not doing anything. No lights are lighting up. Nothing. Theft lights on, but that's not a good indication that the key's not being recognized. Keys here. Let's see here. Let's see if it works. I don't remember this working before, so this might not be any help. So I'm gonna leave that in there. I'm not gonna answer any questions as far as like what's going on with ignition switch, but I will just tell you that the shaft that that moves this ignition switch here, the mechanical shaft is broken inside of it, so the steering column needs to be replaced. But if you have any questions, just put it in the comment section. I'll answer them. But again, if I say on, if I'm turning the key on, this is me cutting the key on. So I'm trying to start it up. So there's no lights, no nothing coming on here. First thing I want to do, being that there's no lights on the dash, is check for fuses. One common thing a lot of customers do is hook the jumper cables up backwards. And this, by there being no lights on this car, is one of those examples. So the battery's in there. I know the battery's working. Again, the horn works. The lights come on. I think, yeah, the lights are on. I can see the reflection. I'm going to check the main fuses going to the battery and see if I can get some life on the dash here. So it's likely, this issue is likely due to the fuse box outside and not sending any power on the inside of this car here. So let's check that. All right, we got a sky view here. So we're under the hood. Of course, this is the battery. Fuse box outside the car. You know, Ford number stuff, they don't tell you exactly what it is, but I'm going to use my test light here as my weapon of choice, or my diagnostic tool of choice. I want to put my alligator clamp on the negative side, test my test light, it's working, and I'm going to check all these fuses on the outside of the car here, and whichever side don't light up, like this one, this is what I'm going after. So I'm gonna check all these anyway. I'm pretty sure all these are working fine. This is the culprit. So odds are very high once I put a new fuse in here, we should restore power inside the car. So again, this is our culprit here. There's nothing on this side, but there's power. This is a very rapid way of checking the fuses. I'm gonna leave it. There we go, right there. Took less than 30 seconds. We'll get a fuse. All right, so I got my fuse here. Got another 40 amp. Comparison to the blown 40 amp here. So I'm gonna put this in here, and we should have restored power and inside the car. I just had it on resistance value. I just brought my multimeter out here to make sure there was no like load put on the car or anything. You would want to ideally check it with the car off, so there's nothing pulling to ground or putting a drain on anything. So current here. So for example, if I want to do a voltage drop test, if there was anything pulling the ground here, it would produce current, which it is. So it's a possibility that, you know, the circuit isn't completely off inside the car, you know. So I do have the switch in the accessory position. Let me turn it all the way off. All right, so I got the switch all the way off now, so there shouldn't be any. So there's no load currently, so nothing's being pulled to ground. So I mean, there's another way to check this if there was any type of short circuit, is to do a resistance test and simply put it on a little horseshoe thing, go to ground, and test each side here and see if anyone's being pulled to ground. If it was pulled to ground, you would get a value like this. Yeah, 5 megohms. So something insignificant, you know. Other than that, let's see here. We got our fuse. We found the blown fuse. So put everything in here. Everything should work like normal inside the car. So let's go in and see what happens. Back in the car. Let's see here. I'm gonna cut this switch on so everything comes on in the car now. I'm gonna try to start it up. And it gone black. So what's up with that? Let's go outside and check it. I'm gonna check those same fuses. Well, that same fuse, because everything in the car went black again. Oh, scared me. So it went black because of the bad connection at the battery post. Push down and twist. Push down and twist. All right, let's try it, see what happens. Still got a bad connection. Let me get these terminals tightened up. So they're tight now. Let's try it again. What? Went out again. Check the battery post again. So it blew the fuse again. So I guess this is a sign that there's some issues going on with this fuse here. Strangely, when you go to start it, it'll just blow the fuse. So there's obviously something that requires a major load that is causing this fuse to go out here short in the ground, and it only does it when you go all the way forward to the starter signal. So kind of guess where I'm going. I'm going to I'm going to do I'm not the brightest with electrical circuits. I don't have like a load tester or anything. But I can just manually jump that starter down here. Since it's accessible, I'm gonna find the solenoid wire, which is right here in front of my face, and put some power to it and see what happens. So let's do that in the rain. So I got this thick battery cable here, and I'm gonna simply hook it on the starter solenoid and hit the power wire. Just something up with the starter, because this thing is like going crazy. I mean, it's not supposed to do that much jumping. Starter's not even, yeah, that starter's gone out. Even though there's nothing really conclusive, you know, I'm based on just, this is a personal experience here. That starter is not engaging, and it just stopped engaging altogether on the signal wire. So I'm gonna have to put a starter on here, and that should resolve this problem with the blown fuse. We could look at a starting circuit and see what this fusible link ties to, but it's pretty obvious. You cut the switch on, everything's supposed to shut down from the accessories and go straight to the starter circuit, and that's the only major drag on this fuse here, and the only common interest with blowing the fuse and performing some type of variable that will isolate anything else. So again, you start the car up, the fuse blow. The only thing in common with starting the car up and this fuse blowing is the starting circuit. I tried jumping the start off from the solenoid, where the car would ultimately send a signal, you know, an isolated signal besides the battery post here going straight to the starter motor. The small amount of current is supposed to go to the starter solenoid, and that's the only common thing, is that solenoid and this fuse here. So I need to put a starter on it. Oh yeah, and again, I tried to jump the starter off. It didn't work. It worked, but it didn't push out and engage the engine. So that's a clear indication that the starter's gone out. Got a new starter. My Riley's got an Ultima. Real quick. Let's see. So basically, I'm just gonna go from the bottom, pull those two bolts out from the side, and the solenoid and motor wires that are hot wires. Get that pulled out, get the new one in there. We'll retest the circuit. All right, got the starter put on. It's simple, just 13 millimeter and 10 millimeter. Remove the solenoid wire down there. So I got a 50 amp fuse in here. I ain't got nothing close to that right now, so we'll have to put a 40 in there later. But we're gonna start it up. Unlike last time, when we started up, it would blow the fuse automatically. Now when we start it up, it should start up fine without blowing the fuse. So let's go do that now. All right, so back in the car, cut the switch on. Switch on. Damn, start right on up. Cool, this is a confirmed fix. The starter motor was actually causing, let me turn this air off. So the starter motor, yeah, I was thinking, I probably need to swap the fuses out and put the 40 amp back in there, because, you know, what, I ain't got no credibility like that on the internet yet. You know, like if I leave this 50 amp in here, people might say, oh, the car, you just put a bigger amperage in there and didn't fix the issue. So I'm gonna swap this 40 amp, this 50 amp, and I'm gonna start it up. There's gonna be no blown fuse. So yeah, still work. Everything's good. Let me go back and recap. So went through the basic diagnosis for the starting circuit and the common interest that caused that fuse to ultimately blow was dealing with the starting circuit. And I guess just if you understand how a basic starting system works, it doesn't utilize any type of accessories when you're in the starting position. So that's why I went ahead and put a starter on here, just from experience dealing with the starting circuits. So that's fixed. Next project for this car may be the steering column, but you know, it's another video for another day. But hey, you know, anything can happen. This world's full of infinite possibilities. Hit that subscribe link. Stay informed. with my damn it. Subscribe. Stay informed. Have that reassurance of my work. Let's on to the next one.